We will now reconvene the special city council meeting. Ms. City Attorney, please report the closed session action.
There was one item on the closed session agenda. The city council gave direction to its legal counsel, and that ends the closed session report.
Thank you. The special city council meeting is now adjourned. I would like to order the regular city council meeting. City Clerk Duarte, will you please take roll?
Councilmember Ashton.
Present.
Councilmember Rodriguez is excused. Councilmember Saab.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Frometa.
Present.
And Mayor Pacheco.
Present. I would now like to call up Noveres Frometa to lead us in the invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we're gathered here today to conduct city business. Thank you for every seat that is filled this evening. May you provide wisdom, vision, protection, and your blessing to our city council. May everyone in these chambers conduct themselves with integrity, respect, and professionalism. We pray for every line item on tonight's agenda, for every voice be heard, and that your will be done. Bless all of those who are present, our first responders, our city officials, city government staff, our schools, businesses, in our beautiful city of Downey and its residents. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. I would now like to call up Andre Lucas to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everyone face the flag. Place your right hand over your heart. And ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Next is time for City Council member announcements, requests for future agenda items, conference meeting reports. And I will start with my far left, Council Member Saab.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Comments real brief tonight. Just a few people I wanted to recognize in the audience. We have our Planning Commissioner, Noveres Frometa. Thank you, Noveres, for serving and for doing the prayer invocation. We also have Superintendent Downey Schools, Dr. John Garcia, popped in. Welcome. And then representing the Downey Chamber of Commerce, Executive Director Michael Calvert. And just a few items I wanted to invite the public. Don't forget, on February 29th, we have the TOC is having their 5K walk run at Apollo Park. And I know I've said it in the past, but TOC is a organization which part of the district which assists kids in need in our school district, and they do incredible things throughout the year. And it's this is the biggest fundraiser, and it's a great event. I think this year we're expecting over 1,400 participants. It keeps growing and growing every year, and it's just a fun overall, great day, community day. Teachers, police, fire, administrators, students. I mean, you name it, everyone's out there. So if you can want to do a little exercise and help the cause, you're welcome to attend, and you can still sign up on at the TLC office. Also a reminder, this Monday is President's Day, and there will be no trash pickup. And that really concludes my comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I would now like to proceed on over to Mayor Pro Tem.
Actually, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. I have to report out. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I have to report out under law. We have to report when we attend a conference on behalf of the city. I attended along with my council colleagues about 2 weeks ago, Independent Cities Association a conference in Santa Barbara. Independent Cities is a organization made up of several independent cities in LA County. We gather twice a year, and this particular session was about public safety. One of the things that we discussed, which was very important, was which we've talked in the past about, is the cybersecurity. We got an update on some of the new trends, and our city staff, we've mentioned that to them in the past, and they've been appraised of it. And I just want to report about independent cities.
Thank you. Now I'd like to proceed on over to our Mayor Pro Tem, Claudia Fermetta.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. It is a pleasure to see you. And as I always start my comments, engaged communities are strong communities. So it is nice to see you here this evening. I would like to also recognize the individuals that my council colleague already recognized, but it is such a pleasure to have our superintendent of schools here with us tonight, Dr. John Garcia. Thank you for being here with us. Also, Michael Calvert, thank you for being here. And my dear husband, Noveres Frometa, thank you for being here. The past couple of weeks have been very busy, and again, I try to keep my comments short, but we try to go to as many events as we can possibly attend to under our busy schedules in our day jobs. And I want to tell you that we were, Mayor Pacheco and I, and as well as my council colleague Saab, had the pleasure of attending a very special event for one of our schools in Downey last week, and that was the grand opening of the recording studio at Lewis Elementary. And boy, what a phenomenal event that was. We were really taken aback looking at the technology that our children in this district are being exposed to. They are able to have their own little channel, mix music and sound, and also a really big shout out to Principal Allison Box. And we also got a little tour of the robotics area that the children also have an opportunity to visit. And again, there's great things happening in our Downey Unified School District. And again, Dr. Garcia, I don't just mention that because you're here, but certainly because we do have a great school district. And it was our pleasure to be there and witness that grand opening. I also attended the Independent Cities Association seminar 2 weeks ago in Santa Barbara, and I do want to give a shout out to President-elect, my council colleague Sean Ashton. You did a phenomenal job with the conference, and as has been said already, it was focused on public safety. Downey, again, was the city that was most represented. We had our city manager, our assistant city manager, all of your council colleagues, as well as our police chief and fire chief. So thank you both for being there. And I do want to say that it was really great to have our city emergency manager, Rakti, do a presentation on emergency management. And again, how fortunate the city is in having that. As you know, we receive alerts. There was several alerts that went out on Saturday regarding a fire that happened in the city, and I think this city tries to be on the forefront on alerts and making sure the residents continue to receive those communications in a timely fashion. We also attended last weekend the grand opening of Dennis the Menace Park in Northeast Downey, and that happens to be my district, District 4, and we were really pleased to see so many families enjoying the park. Saturday was a phenomenal day. It is really a good opportunity to gather with your families and visit that park whenever you have an opportunity. I know we continue to make great improvements to the rest of our city, the library, the rest of the parks, and I do want to recognize Assistant City Manager John Oscui for the work that you're doing with the Measure S projects and those aggressive timelines. They're very, very aggressive, but thank you for all that work, and certainly our Director of Parks and Rec, Pam Passau, for your diligence in getting all those things done as well. Thank you. There was I do have a couple of things for staff. I know we keep talking about the various projects that are going on in our city, and I know, and I'm going to direct my comments to our Director of Public Works, Delfino. Delfino, you do a great job at managing all of this. But I've been getting a lot of complaints, in certainly from our residents being concerned about that median that doesn't seem to be completely finished in the Paramount and Firestone, and there's still those orange cones surrounding that area. So we continue. I don't know if you have anything that you want to say or
Actually, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, there's actually an agenda item tonight that will allow us to go out to solicit bids for those medians. There was some grant funding that we went after, we were promised, and then they ended up shifting that funding to another pot of money at the state level. So we're actually have that item today because it's such an important key entry point into our city. We want to make sure that it gets taken care of. So that is actually on tonight's agenda.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One of the other things I wanted to bring up is I've received also some from our residents along True Avenue in the south part of south of Telegraph. If we can have some additional police patrol. There's been, some activity that residents don't feel really safe, and so if we can take a look at that, and also if we can look at maybe the potential for some additional stop signs or something that there's been some accidents that residents have reported in that particular area, the Telegraph and True area. I don't know if we can take a look at that, and also I think Council Member Ashton brought this up some weeks ago. Some people cut through our highly trafficked avenues through some side streets, and Pangbourne between Firestone and Florence continues to be one of those streets. I've attended several neighborhood watch meetings in the past several months, and that is one of the main complaints that residents in that area continue to tell us about. The traffic continues to increase and the speed also. So if we can do something about that and maybe report back what are some of the alternatives that we can do, that would be greatly appreciated. Madam Mayor, that would conclude my comments for tonight.
Thank you very much. I would now like to proceed on over to Councilmember Sean Ashton.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I also attended the Independent Cities Association seminar. I am the current president-elect for that organization, so this seminar was something that I pretty much had planned out with the help of the planning committee for that. And one of the sessions that I was looking forward to the most, and I think actually most of the attendees that were there, that one had the biggest room, was a report on what the city of Bellflower is doing in relationship to their homelessness problem, and how they're going about being able to enforce their camping laws while providing shelters for the homeless residents that are in their city. And for me, that was when I was looking at this seminar, that was one of the sessions that I went to first, because the current mayor for Bellflower, Juan Garza, was pretty much in my ear saying, hey, this is what we're doing. Hey, this is what we're doing now, this is what we're doing. Kind of keep me up to date on what their progress was in going through this situation. And so I believe they're going to be having a homeless shelter, a temporary shelter that will be built within the next month. And then they'll be able to actually start putting, people that need services into that shelter. So that's a really good event to hear about from what other cities are doing. And with that, I since he was in my ear, I've been in our city manager's ear, just saying, hey, what can we do to help with this issue in our city? And so I know we've been looking at that diligently and seeing what would be the best option for Downey. I also did want to give a thank you to Radke Cloak, who's our emergency preparedness manager. She helped out with a different session on that as well that was previously mentioned. So again, I wanted to thank her for making the trip up and helping out with that. So let her know thank you. On top of that, we have a couple events coming up. This Saturday is Keep Downey Beautiful. It'll be on Hall Road, just off of Woodruff, right by Western Pacific Pulp Paper. It's kind of by the railroad tracks around Woodruff there. So It starts at 9 in the morning. We'll be done by 10. So if you're able to get out there, help us pick up trash for an hour, we'd greatly appreciate it. I know we mentioned we were talking about speeding. I know you just brought it up. I know that there are certain in the state, maybe we could have our lobbyists look into this. I know there's a certain, I know there was a bill last year by Assemblymember Friedman, who actually proposed something where cities can actually have control of the speed limits. So currently, our speed limits that we set aren't necessarily a choice of ours per se. So basically, we have to do a monitoring of the streets. A traffic survey is technically what it's called. And so whenever you see the little rubber, the little two pieces of rubber in the road that you drive over, that's actually the survey that's happening. And so they measure the speeds on each street. And so when we do those, and then those come up 85% or more that are higher than the posted speed limit, then we have to adjust our speed limit per the state. And so Assemblymember Freeman had a bill that she was working on that would kind of take that away and allow cities to kind of monitor the speed limits for certain streets more. And maybe that'd be something that we could have our lobbyists look into to hopefully help with that issue, because I think, when we have it on our meeting agendas, when we have to raise the limits, that comes before council, and it's kind of like, well, why do we have to do that? It's kind of out of our hands. So maybe something, a bill like that would actually give us the opportunity to kind of monitor the streets in a way that our community sees fit, as opposed to the state of California being, half, the other end of the state. So if we could have our lobbyists look into that, maybe that would also help with the issue.
One of the things that maybe we might want to do first is do a briefing to the council on that particular item to see if there's consensus amongst the council to actually to go down that route before we start spending a lot of time doing that. And we can have our public works or our engineers take a look at that and do a briefing to you guys, and then you can give me direction of where you want to go.
No, you summed it up very well. Thank you. I appreciate that. And with that concludes my comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I want to start off again by welcoming everyone to our council meeting. It's always a pleasure seeing everyone here. It's a pleasure seeing our police officers and also our firefighters. Thank you for joining us today. And to the members in the audience, thank you all for being here. I will start off with mentioning some events that I attended. I also had the opportunity to attend Independent City's Winter Seminar Conference over in Santa Barbara. One of the topics was emergency preparedness. What was important about this topic is that it was about major earthquakes, which here in California, we have experienced numerous earthquakes, and it is anticipated that we will experience another major earthquake, and it is not if it happens, it is when. And the important thing is being prepared and make sure your loved ones are prepared. We're fortunate here in Downey that we have our own CERT program. Not many cities have it, but we have it here, in which residents in the community learn about how to prepare themselves and how to help others in the event of a natural disaster. Another event that we all attended was actually a retreat. It was a goal-setting retreat, and the focus is on making sure that we provide the services that our residents need, but also it is important for not only for our city to be functional, but where the quality of life for all residents in Downey is a great quality of life, but where they can have fun. They can enjoy living in the community. They can enjoy and love being here in the city of Downey. Also, I did want to mention that Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Fermetta and I, we attended Downey PD's Citizens Academy class. It was their first meeting, and these residents attend a 10-week academy. They attend every Wednesday for a total of three hours every Wednesday. The residents learn firsthand knowledge of the different operations in our police department and what our officers do on a daily basis. And I just have to say, it is wonderful to see residents who are so engaged and care so much about the community to be involved and spend their evenings over at the Downey Police Officer. So thank you, Chief, for a great program. And thank you to our Downey PD. Also, I had the opportunity of attending the reopening of Dennis the Menace Park. We had a huge attendance on Saturday, and I heard that yesterday, since there wasn't any school in session, we had a lot of children go out and play in the playground. So it's nice to see the community enjoying the parks. Eventually, we will have more parks reopen, so that way the residents, along with the children, can experience the new parks that we have in our city. And again, this goes to show the quality of life in Downey is what is important to us. I did want to mention something to staff to see if we can, I don't know if there's any policies in place, but to see if we can place policies on possibly naming or renaming a Downey facility, or see what the procedure is in regards to that. Okay, thank you. And that concludes my comments, and I will now go down for presentations. First presentation is a Mayor's Impact Award. What I wanted to do this year is to recognize those individuals who have made an impact in our city. And today, we have the pleasure of honoring high school students and young adults for the impact they have done in our community. What's important here in our school district is that character counts is emphasized. So I want to commend our school district for doing that, because that's where this begins. It begins in the schools. It begins on what we teach our children. And so that for that reason, I would like to invite up Dr. John Garcia. I would like to also invite up the Kelsey Simpson, assistant principal at Downey High School. And I would like to also invite up Sam, because they're going to be sharing the story of these young individuals and what they did to make an impact on a resident here in Downey.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name's Kelsey Simpson, and like she said, I'm one of the assistant principals at Downey High School. Downey High School is so proud to present to you tonight two of our junior Vikings, Mr. San Angel Martinez and Mr. Ryan Vigil, who showed 90-year-old Miss Verla Brining that in Downey, California, character counts. Both of these boys, when talked to, expressed the gratitude that they have for their mom, the morals and expectations that Martinez came to Downey High School from Hawthorne, and he loves the vibe at there's a different mindset and earn money, create his own sense of independence. He has created his own mini business.
We're sorry, we apologize. We're going to change the batteries out on that for you, because the mic keeps going on.
He's my teacher voice. So.
Well, we can do that too.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to start with Angel over, because I really want to just emphasize how awesome this situation was. So San Angel Martinez came to Downey High School from Hawthorne, and he loves the vibe at Downey High. Here in Downey, he feels that there's a different mindset and feels extremely motivated to work and earn money in order to create his own sense of independence. Currently, he has created his own mini business where he sells sneakers and has made a name for himself. He feels that teachers and counselors at Downey High go out of their way to help everyone succeed, and that each teacher genuinely cares about him and his classmates. Tonight, his mom is in attendance to watch Angel accept this award. Ryan Vigil came to Downey High School from Cudahy, where he finds the DHS food to definitely be an upgrade. He also believes that all of our teachers and students in Downey are more kind, respectful, and caring. He said that everyone here cares about him. Ryan believes that you should always do kind things for others while not expecting anything in return. Tonight, his mom is in attendance to watch Ryan accept this award. In true good guy fashion, both of these boys feel that what they did for Miss Brining, which was to help her with her car when she had some car trouble on the side of the road, does not actually warrant an award. They were just doing what they felt was right and what they would want someone else to do for their own grandmother. Ryan and Angel would like to say thanks to Mr. Houts, our principal, for being our fearless leader at Downey High, to their teachers, and to Captain Sam for making them feel special about something that feels so natural to them. They would also like to thank their moms, who they feel made all of this possible. This has truly been an unforgettable experience for both of them. On behalf of Downey High School, we are so proud. Thank you for sharing your Vike vibe with our Downey community.
I'll just say a few words. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for letting me come over. It was around 3 o'clock that afternoon. I was just driving for the bank, and I saw on that little street close to Aldi's 3 young men trying to help an elderly person. So I thought I might give them a hand to push the car or whatever. So I went over there. Angel, Ryan, and Andrew Martin, he works at Chick-fil-A. He had just gotten off duty. And these 2 young men had just gotten off school. They stayed about 2 hours, got the tow truck driver come in, find out what was wrong, and took care of the whole matter and had Miss Brining's car towed back. And in fact, I spoke to her yesterday, and I invited her to be here. Unfortunately, she has pneumonia. She's in the hospital, but she wanted me to thank you, all 3. And not too many times we congratulate and pay good compliments to our young people. As a society, we sometimes ignore. These are the leadership of Downey, and I really, truly believe these 3 guys might one day be up there, hopefully. And I do want to thank the parents. You've done a great job with these young men. Because it starts at home as well and then goes to school, and our Downey school district is wonderful. I've had 2 daughters go to Downey High, and I had a son go to Warren. I'm an out-and-out citizen of this Downey for the last 35 years. So I'm really fortunate that I saw it. It was all timing. And when I saw that, I took a picture, got engaged, and I said, I think the mayor needs to know that. So I sent the picture to the mayor, and then, of course, Dr. Garcia put it on the school district. I think these guys are very popular. Moms, keep an eye. There may be girls out to get them. All right. Well done, guys. Well done, and thank you, Madam Mayor.
So I would now like to invite up the young men in which we are rewarding or providing this recognition for. I'd like to invite up San Angel Martinez. Andrew Martin. And Ryan Vigil. In recognition of doing a good deed, thank you for your contributions to our community. Thank you for the impact that you have done for a resident here in Downey. On behalf of the mayor, I present to you a certificate of recognition. Thank you. Let's give them another round of applause.
I just want to say thank you to my mom, because growing up, that was my mom and my dad. And without my mom, I don't think I would have did anything or been anything close to what I am right now. And that's like my best friend, so yeah.
I want to say thank you to my mom and my dad. Yeah.
I just want to thank my grandparents, how they raised me. I was raised by my grandparents. They taught me like to always give and like never expect to receive, but what comes around goes around. So that's what I was always based off of.
Forgot to say one thing. I did go to Chick-fil-A, met with the manager, and I told him what a great employee he has. And I also called the corporate office and let them know about it, so hope they'll do something.
The next item is certificates of recognition for our Downey police officers who have become tactical medics. I would now like to invite up our Chief, Dean Milligan, to assist me with that presentation. But at the same time, I would like to also invite up Sean Youngblood.
Hello, everyone. First of all, Madam Mayor, I'd like to thank you for your offering to recognize our officers as well as firefighter paramedic Youngblood for the training that he provided and that they recently acquired. So just briefly, in the middle of last year, our department decided to come up with what we call a tactical medic program. This is all of our police officers are required to maintain emergency trainings for CPR, things of that nature, but this is obviously above and beyond that. And it started with simply the tactical situations that we found our police officers involved in, and how nice it would be and what a great tool it would be to have folks that were trained to provide EMT type of care to our folks in the event they were injured in the field. Obviously, we have great respect for our fire department, and they come at a moment's notice whenever we call them. But this was more embedded within our program of our tactical operations within our police department. So under the guidance of Lieutenant Cooper, Dwayne, you mind coming down here for a second? Lieutenant Cooper oversees our tactical medic program. So we had selected 6 officers for the program, 5 of which have completed training thus far, so I'll introduce them one at a time. We have Officer Patrick Skoll, who attended West Coast EMT program. We have Corporal Russell Acevo, who also attended the West Coast EMT program. Officer Austin Honrath, another West Coast EMT program attendee. And then these last 2 guys, through the generous donation of the Downey Adult School program, attended a program through the Downey Adult School, which was an extended program, lasted about 3.5 months for them, while these folks attended an intense actually, I think it was 5.5 weeks of straight-through training. These gentlemen here that I'm about to introduce went through this program, which was conducted by firefighter paramedic Youngblood. So I'd like to introduce Officer Eric Hempy and Sergeant Jaime Pelayo. And I would look foolish if I stood up here and tried to tell you exactly what they learned, so I'll leave that to Sean because he's the one who taught the course. But I just want to say thanks to our folks. It's a great program for our city. It's a great program for our department. And I want to thank the fire department and Sean especially and the Downey Adult School for participating with us to provide this training to our folks that will definitely, hopefully we never need it, but in the event that we do, it will save lives. So thank you all for doing it. I congratulate you on your accomplishments. Sean, if you don't mind, just a little bit background about the training.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Once again, my name is Sean Youngblood. I happen to be one of the many instructors at Downey Adult School that help train EMTs coming up, and we're very fortunate to have these 2 police officers in our program. The program itself is a 14-week Monday through Thursday program. Goes from 6 p.m. to about 9 p.m. at night. So a lot of times these officers were coming off shift, or they were about ready to go on shift, or they'd have to take time out of their regular duty days to go and complete the requirements. The program itself, the EMT program itself, is a nationally accredited program. It's overseen by the state of California as well, so we have required hours that are put into it, and these gentlemen did over 800 hours of not only lecture, but also field training, in which they had to go and actually ride with EMTs, or in some cases ride along with the paramedics at our fire department. Just the curriculum itself has a lot of medical situations, not only medical, but also trauma related. So it kind of fit right into their duties that they currently have. Being a first responder, this not only helped hone their own skills, but also kind of gave them another tool in their toolbox that they can use. So we're very happy to have them on the EMT list, I guess you'd say. And we look forward to seeing them out there. Hopefully no one will ever have to see them in that time of need, but just know that they have all the proper training, knowledge, if the time were to show up. So once again, congratulations, guys. It's very well earned.
And I believe Jaime Pelayo has something to add.
I'm very honored to represent the Downey Police Department's TAC Med unit, and I want to express my gratitude first to our Mayor Black Pacheco and the council for the recognition. It's very honorable. And also to our Chief, Dean Milligan, for his leadership, but also for providing us the equipment necessary for this program to be successful. And Captain Mark McDaniel for spearheading this program on behalf of the police department. And of course, Lieutenant Cooper, who supervises the unit, for all his support. And a special thank you to Ms. Mariana Pacheco, who is the Downey Adult School Director, at least for our program, for this incredible, very collaborative and well-designed EMT program. And of course, Sean, for the amazing instructions that he provided us. And I'm gonna echo Sean in that hopefully this unit never has to utilize this expertise. But if the exigency does arise, we are well-trained, prepared, and committed to helping save lives. And of course, a great thank you to my partners, my EMT partners, for the dedication to the learning, the training, and the application of the program. And with that, once again, on behalf of our team, thank you, Mayor, Council, for this amazing recognition. Thank you.
Thank you again, all of you, for doing this special program. Thank you for continuing your education and for going above and beyond. So again, let's give them a round of applause.
We're gonna pull this back. You guys go in front. There we go. There we go. You guys go in front.
I'd now like to call up Councilmember Shauna Ashton to assist me on the next certificate.
I'm going to have Madison Munguia come on up. So with our city, we have, I'm just kind of enjoying this. I haven't been up here in a while, so this is kind of nice. No, so in our city, we have different commissions that citizens volunteered to serve on, and I had an opening on my Public Works committee. So I reached out to a good friend of mine, Madison Munguia. So we met playing a sport called broomball, and I'll tell you the history about that some other time. But basically, she grew up here in Downey. She's born and raised here. She left for a couple of years to go to college, finished up at Dominguez Hills, and then is now back in the town, and pretty much came to me and asked, hey, is there something I can do to get more involved in the city? And so the timing of this just worked out perfectly. I've got an opening. And so Madison graciously decided to volunteer to take this opportunity to serve on the Public Works Committee. And I deeply appreciate the fact that you made this commitment. So on behalf of the City Council, I'd like to go ahead and present you with a certificate of appointment to the Public Works Commission. And then a city pin saying basically that you are a member of a city commission. So you have the opportunity to say a few words if you want. Other than that, we can take a picture and make it official. Okay, no worries.
We will now take a 2-minute break. Next item on our agenda are two public hearings. The first public hearing is 2019 California Fire Code. 2019 California Fire Code and Downey Fire Code. Adopt the following ordinance. Adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 3, 4, 5, and 6 of Article 3 of the Downey Municipal Code through adopting by reference the 2019 California Fire Code. California Code of Regulations, Title 24, Part 9. City Clerk Duarte, do you have the proof of publication?
Yes, Mayor.
Is there a motion and a second to receive and file? So ordered by the mayor. City Clerk Duarte, have you received any correspondence on this matter?
We have not, Mayor.
City Manager Rivas, is there a staff report?
Madam Mayor, there is a staff report. I believe that's going to be Assistant Chief Ivy.
Mayor Pacheco, council members, City Manager Rivas, I'm grateful for this opportunity to present to you tonight for your adoption, the 2019 California Fire Code.
Chief, can you pick up? There you go.
Closer?
Thank you.
How's that? Okay. As you know, the California Fire Code goes through revisions and updates every 3 years, and it's brought to you every 3 years for your adoption. If adopted today, the California Fire Code 2019 will be the fire code for the next 3 years in the city of Downey. The fire code, the 2019 Fire Code, California Fire Code, is based off of the International Fire Code 2018. Several things that may affect the city of Downey, I've included in this slide show. And basically, it's the storage of electrical power is one of them. And we have several facilities in the city of Downey that currently have battery electrical storage facilities, such as the hospitals and cell sites. So this may affect the city of Downey. It basically regulates how big they can be and what type of facility they have to be stored in, and if it needs to be sprinklered or not. Is the special events that are large in size, over 1,000 people. And this is a new code that basically allows the fire official to establish an occupancy load at these events. And if it is over 1,000 people, it pushes it into different regulations where they have to have a safety manager and also a weather manager, which is new. So the weather manager also has to have the authority to be able to shut the event down in case weather gets dangerous. And the last one is locking mechanisms for educational facilities. So this is new since of the active shooter events. This allows school teachers and administrators in schools to be able to lock the doors from the inside and not have to go outside into the hallway with a key and lock the door like they currently do in some schools. So these locking mechanisms have to be able to have one operation to be able to get out, even though they are locked from the inside, and keep people out. They also are required to have a key entry from the outside to allow police, fire, and other administration people to get into the rooms. And also the California Fire Code allows the cities to establish more stringent rules on top of the California Fire Code. And what the city of Downey has established is Articles 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the Municipal Code, which includes the fire department fire code. The only changes made to the Municipal Code is basically adopting Appendix K and N as they're rewritten in the International Fire Code, and they've added Appendix M. Section 3309, which required electronic plans submittal, has been removed, and a correction was made in Section 3327, which basically was a typo. And the last section that was changed was Section 3329. This one has to do with communication systems within buildings. So when police and fire department respond into large buildings, their communication systems can be interrupted because of the space inside the building. These buildings are required to have amplification for first responder radios. So those systems actually receive the frequency that we're transmitting on with our firefighters inside the building, amplify the signal, and send it out to outside the building where the incident commanders can receive their transmission. So this is definitely a life safety issue with police and fire. So the municipal code, as it was written prior to this, was much more stringent And I've removed several sections, as you can see in this slide, that are now covered in the California Fire Code. The California Fire Code was very vague before. Now it's very explicit as to what their rules are. And so just some things have been removed, and that's all. So that concludes my report. If you have any questions.
Are there any questions or comments?
So if you have 1,000 people at an event, you're required to have a weather person, or it's up to the department to?
It's up to the Fire Code official, but yeah, yes.
What kind of person is that? A weather forecaster?
It's just, it doesn't specify. It just specifies somebody who's basically watching the weather. It's going to be wind. It's mainly for wind and tents, and if they're going to be flying away.
What kind of qualifications do they have to have?
It doesn't specify. It sounds to me like it could be basically anybody who's basically watching the weather, looking at their cell phone, watching weather.
Sounds like a fun job in California.
At a party, at least.
Thank you. Good job.
Any other questions or comments? No? Thank you. I will now open this item for public comment. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak regarding this matter and this matter only?
Madam Mayor, regarding Revenue and Tax Codes, Section 24383. I'm sure Mr. Gilbert Levas, the city manager, is aware of these tax codes. This is regarding California Building Code Title 24, I'm sorry, you're right.
Fire
Stay
code.
on topic.
Fire code.
Fire code. The same force of law stipulated jurisdiction establish more restrictive building standards. Plain English. And here comes because, and as Alex Saab was trying to figure out what the fuck a weatherman is, the conditions: 1, local climatic; 2, geological; or best, topographical. Big terms, but don't mean shit, because anyone can do a job like that. Just walk out the door and look up in the sky. Guess what? Weather's fair. Sorry, winds, blah, 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 etc. But again, the chiefs of Mr. Ivy's report regarding effective storage facility is a serious situation and problem. And I state that accurately because you haven't learned from the large cities like Los Angeles, where jackasses don't provide enough storage facilities and they have rolling blackouts. Isn't that great? Am I fucking lying? Rolling blackouts at the cost of you, the taxpayers, because jackasses can't provide us effective storage, let alone emergency storage, not just from our local hospitals, but I'm saying an abundance of storage. But what the hell does the mayor know about this ordinance 3, 4, 5, and 6 for the record? Am I on topic? Fucking A, you are. Regarding California Code of Regulations Title 24, based on my opinion. See, I don't know shit about this crap here, other than I spent 2 minutes putting a small note together to give clarity to the conditions of hazardous to life property from the handling, use, storage, or release of hazardous materials or hazardous waste, such as you might hear later during the administrative talk about waste, giving Mr. Levas, the manager, a $10,000 raise. Off topic, let me go back on subject regarding, in addition, including appendices through and together, but I missed the letter N. Is the N for nigger? Together? I don't know. But with certain additions, intercessions, deletions, and changes. Well, here's a conspiracy.
Fire code?
Is that conspiracy?
Mr. Herman, fire code.
Pardon me?
You have to stay on topic.
I am, but
Fire
you're
code.
interrupting me while I'm speaking. I got the floor. Why don't
Mr.
you wait
Herman,
and
can we-
ask
can we
Mr.
please stop
Saab
the
not
ti-
to interrupt?
Please stop the time. Mr. Herman, stay on topic. This is a warning. You may proceed.
Oh, now it's a warning. That's why we have a lock mechanism to keep you to shut up. You see, folks, we need a lock-in mechanism so that some crazy asshole doesn't barge into our schools where I and Mr. Ashton work and fucking get trigger happy and mutilate us because some jackass principal didn't want to provide your child with an appropriate education. And suspension was the ultimate deem of repercussion, which accosted the children and the teachers to die at the cost of a lock mechanism. A simple, stupid device. But yet our mayor doesn't care. Our mayor has her own priorities straight regarding a lock mechanism. That's the reason why Chief Milliken should receive a Ferrari to zoom around and stop this and prevent this, in addition to the hazards of not just a storage, but also materials or hazards problems in our schools because we don't have the appropriate lock mechanism. So, once again, an interruption violates my rights and violates our civil rights. We're only going to be given 3 minutes because our wetback mayor decides to take away our 5 minutes. Thank you.
You went there.
I will entertain a motion and a second to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So ordered by the mayor. Is there a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Make second.
Okay, let's vote.
Mayor, can we take a verbal vote, please?
Yes.
Aye.
All those in favor to adopt the ordinance, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes with a unanimous vote.
Thank you. Next public hearing is 2019 Building, Residential, Electrical, Mechanical, Plumbing, Energy, Historical Building, Existing Building, Reference Standards, Green Building Standards Code Update, and New Administration Building and Housing Code. Adopt the following ordinances. 1, adopt an ordinance adding a new Chapter 1 Downey Building Code. 2, adopt an ordinance of adding a new Chapter 2 Downey Electrical Code. 3, adopt an ordinance adding a new Chapter 3 Downey Mechanical Code. 4, adopt an ordinance adding a new Chapter 4 Downey Plumbing Code. 5, adopt an ordinance adding a new Chapter 9 Downey Historical Building Code. 6, adopt an ordinance adding a new Chapter 11 Downey Green Building Standards Code. 7, adopt an ordinance adding a new Chapter 12 Downey Energy Code. 8, adopt an ordinance adding Chapter 14 Downey Administrative Building and Housing Code. 9, adopt an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Downey adding a new Chapter 15 Downey Existing Building Code. 10, adopt an ordinance adding a new Chapter 16 Downey Referenced Standards Code. And 11, adopt an ordinance adding a new Chapter 13 Downey Residential Code. City Clerk Duarte, do you have the proof of publication?
Yes, Mayor.
Is there a motion and a second to receive and file?
So moved.
So ordered by the mayor. City Clerk Duarte, have you received any correspondence on this matter?
We have not, Mayor.
Thank you. City Manager Rivas, is there a staff report?
Madam Mayor, there is a staff report to be given by Richard Hicks, our building official.
Thank you.
Mayor Pachenko, Mayor Pro Temp, and council members, my name is Richard Hicks. I'm the building official, and I'll be presenting the 2019 California Building Codes ordinances. So there's 3 ways that the state comes up with the codes. One is by legislation, so that's the legislation bodies enact laws that we have to enforce. Another one is the adoption of the national codes, and the other part of it is the actual amendments by the State Building Standards Commission. So I'm going to give you just a few highlights of some of the items that city of Downey that is changing. One of the things that is changing, you can actually use ship ladders now. You can see the wooden portion there. That is considered a ship ladder by definition, and you can actually use that to get up to an area that's up to 200 square feet, as opposed to having the general stairwell, which takes up a lot of space. So they're trying to go through and cut down some of the space that you could need to take care of in your house. Another one, we're trying to keep up with technology. The smoke alarm and fire alarms are now wireless. So there's a requirement that they actually are interconnected, so that if one goes off, they all have to go off. Now they do this wireless as opposed to having wires that connect them. So we're trying to keep up with technology so you can place these anywhere in your house now, as opposed to just where you have electrical current. This one, because we are getting so many solar panels and people are starting to put solar panels literally all over their house or all over the roofs, on the bedroom windows out of the second floor, they have what we call egress windows. So it allows the police or the firemen to get in to help people and the people to get out. So it's requiring a 36-inch wide passageway from the window to the edge of the roof now. So you can't have your whole roof covered with solar panels. You actually have to give a pathway so people can get in and out of the second floor windows. There again, we're trying to keep up with technology. They now make what they call solar shingles, which is the shingles actually, or the solar panels look like shingles, and they build it right into the roof, as opposed to the previous slide where they sat on top. There's conditions that say that the roofs have different characteristics depending on how it's built. So like residential is a minimum standard of a roof covering. The shingles now have to meet that minimum standard, where the solar panels that are on top do not. So it still protects it with some fire resistive construction. And that is it for my presentation. Oops, went too far.
Thank
Do you
you.
have any questions?
Do any my council colleagues have any comments or questions?
Yeah, so going through all of this is a lot of entertaining reading. One part kind of stuck out that I was hoping to get more information on. So according to the building code, section 8030, section applies to intermodal shipping containers being repurposed for use as building or structures. Are you able to give us more information on how that would apply here in Downey?
Well, this part of it is just more for the structural part of it, as far as the uses and all that stuff.
Yeah, so that's part of a trend. So you've got a lot of creative things coming out of local governments and being driven by the state in terms of where we're going with housing. So you've got the tiny house movement that's out there that's kind of grasping on to the accessory dwelling units. And then you also got the repurposing of shipping containers. You've got them being reused for retail purposes, commercial purposes, and now there's a push to reuse them for housing purposes. Yeah. And so if you move into those different types of materials or structures, the building code is attempting to keep up with that to make sure that they don't fall down once they're built.
So is this going to be, more allowing of those types of purposes in the city, or more restrictive for those types of purposes?
Well, it's going to be a little of both. From on the other side of the house of community development, it's, if the shipping container, for instance, how it looks, if you drop it in the middle of a neighborhood, there might be some controversy and some discussion that needs to be had. If it's in a more urbanized area where you're commonly seeing them in other cities, then it might be a closer fit. So that conceptually, in terms of how it's compatible with an area, is more a planning discussion. On the building side, what's listed in the code is how it's going to be built and make sure that it withstands seismic, fire, it facilitates electrical, plumbing, and so forth.
Yeah, and I'm kind of leading to this because on one of the committees I sit on with SCAG, we're looking at some of these things, and actually we're going to get a tour of the Hope on Alvarado project, which is basically a story shipping container housing thing. And I was just curious to see, not that would be, the best use of it here, but if something like that would even be considered under this or not considered under this. I'm hoping you would be able to give me a little bit more information. Would something like that be just completely prohibited with what we're proposing, or would we still consider it?
It
based
wouldn't-
on the location and all the other variables.
It wouldn't be prohibited. It once again turns into a compatibility issue with that type of product being placed in our community.
Okay.
And so the conversation would be is, do you want it in a single family residential neighborhood? Do you want it adjacent to multifamily? Do you want it closer to, your retail or commercial as a mixed use type of environment? So that's the type of discussion that might occur, and the one that we could help facilitate with yourself and the council at the direction of the city manager.
Okay. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. I will now open this item for public comment. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak regarding this matter?
Thank you, Richard Dix, for your presentation. But there are no three ways to make this any safer. Referring to Building Code Section 8000-8029 through 8029, regarding Plumbing Code 8301, Green Code 8985, Residential Code 8993- through 8999.17. In reference to 2001 California Code CBC Section 115B.5, Section 115B1, 115B.9 for the record. California Building Code Title 24, Part 2, Volume 1, Chapter 11, A, B, and C for the cunt, and Chapter 10 regarding revenue and tax codes, Section 24383. Isn't that a pleasant comment from a wetback like me? Look at item 9, California Historical Building Code, Donald versus Sacramento Valley Bank, for the record. 11 items regarding building code, and not one other person in the public dares or wishes to comment on these 11 items. But to whose avail of interest? No one cares. No one comes to these meetings. No one questions anything on these meetings because you're going to deny them 5 minutes, suppress them down to 3 minutes because, again, people are nervous, first-timers, and they're afraid to speak about their local government and their concerns of issues regarding their tax codes. You get it? You get the bullshit? This is not about impeachment. This is politically correct in my statements. Let's go back to the game. Again, ship ladders. Who fucking cares about ship ladders? My concern is that the fire chief and his staff are safe from the assholes who deliberately did not follow Mr. Frometta and his crew of building planning people for the safety to access to windows. Look at that. Look at that. Why is that? Why would you permit people to just build whatever the fuck they want and not follow building code? And then you endanger not just that particular resident, you endangered the two neighbors on either side or behind. And the structure could be unsafe and cause imminent danger to all in its surroundings. 360 degrees. And those poor firemen risk their fucking life to crawl up to a pathway to the safety windows for access, but can't get there on time while the baby is screaming and grandma is downstairs screaming to mommy, "Mommy! Mommy!" And they all die. I know what it's like to lose a mommy, but Mommy Han is afraid to face me man to man, or as you would call it, homosexual to woman. LGBT queer. Isn't that what she called me? Miss Han? Let's talk about The 2019 building residential, Ms. Hahn, under electrical, mechanical, plumbing, which you are, waste. And the energy behind the historical buildings, again, what have you done with the existing buildings? Our Senator Bob Archuleta, good for nothing piece of shit. Regarding standards, green building standards, you're off code, brother. You are not up to date, Mr. Bob Archuleta. For the same reason I stepped into your imperial office, and over 60 days later, I've not received a packet that I inquired and requested because I, a wetback, don't have that entitlement from Javier Becerra downtown in the Ronald Reagan building to ask and petition for a particular brochure. So fuck your building codes and fuck Sacramento.
Thank you.
Move to go to public comment.
Second? So ordered by the mayor. Is there a motion and a second to adopt the ordinances?
I have a question for
Yes.
staff. Are all these items, in accordance with the new state regulations, or are there some that we've modified particular to Downey?
They're all in accordance to state regulations. We do have the ability to modify such things. The two that are most common to this region is based on seismic activity. And so, you've got liquefaction that occurs in this area where you've got loose, moist soil that can move, when there's a shake. And so the intent is to make sure you get better compaction rates when you're building over it. And same thing with the seismic issues. We tend to be a little bit more conservative in terms of framing and how structures are built so that they can withstand any type of shaking.
So those are the only two instances that we've deviated from the state? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Everything else is adopting the state state ordinance, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's correct.
Those are the
Am I
only
missing anything?
deviations.
Nope. Yep, that's correct.
How do we determine those deviations?
Those deviations are determined by your region. So, for instance, if you're near a hillside community, you usually have stricter fire controls on buildings, specifically shingles and so forth. If you're in a flat area, but once again, similar to this reason where you've got seismic activity, then you default to those types of activities.
All right, move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote.
The motion to adopt the ordinances was approved with Councilmember Rodriguez excused.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is non-agenda public comment. Before we begin the public comment period, I would like to remind members of the audience of the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code, which rules are located in the back of the room. The City Council acknowledges the right of the public to address issues that are within the city's jurisdiction and invites the public to do so during the City Council meeting. However, this right must be balanced with the need of the City Council to conduct the public business in a fair and efficient manner, free from disruption or disturbance. Members of the audience who wish to address the City Council during public comment are reminded that the city's meeting rules prohibit yelling, whistling, booing, screaming, and any other outburst that disrupts or disturbs the meeting. Any conduct that interferes with or disrupts persons who are addressing the City Council. Any conduct that interferes with or disrupts council members while they are speaking. And any other conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. If a speaker engages in this conduct or any other conduct that disrupts or interferes with the meeting, I will ask the city manager to have the speaker removed from the chambers until the end of the public comment period. For those who are audio or videotaping, the city meetings rules prohibit recording from the middle aisles or from the front of the chambers. Recording activity may be performed while seated in your seat or from the back of the chambers. I remind speakers that each person has 5 minutes to speak and that your comments be addressed to me and not to any other council or staff member. Those wishing to speak may come forward.
Excuse me, I lost my place here. My name is Alan Halstensgaard. Matthew was a Jewish tax collector who worked for the Roman government. And this is what he wrote about Jesus beginning in chapter 24, verse 3. Now as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. I recommend you buy the book, Why Jesus, available online at rzim.org.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Move to close public comment.
Public comment is now closed.
Fucking people, man.
Don't forget me. How about mine?
See, no less troubling is that the defendant's second statement. Let this country be fucked for another 4 years because never in the history has a black person done anything right. Well, in your article in the so-called Patriot, Herb Wesson was caught on camera threatening to beat him up. The result of the suit are not publicly available, but unconfirmed. Well, I'm going to confirm it. I have not sued the city of Los Angeles. Fuck you, Eric Garcetti, for the record. And the point of this is because, as mentioned, why would you dare change our time simply because of one individual out of 113,000 in population? Why would you use me as an excuse to deny these people here the right to be heard for their total of 5 minutes? It shows you your content that you are terrorists. You hate the First Amendment. You deny the 14th Amendment. And you will suppress any individual under strategic lawsuits against the public participation known as SLAPP. S-L-A-P-P. So now that I have the racist, fascist attention of those who brought this to order on a motion, I really hope you step back and think of your careers the same way they tried to impeach Donald Trump with lies, malicious fucking lies. And if he was acquitted, then Pelosi the bitch is a liar. Shut the fuck up. And the same goes for you other people who don't believe in the democracy system of law. As Mr. Leva sucks down on his thumb thinking about it twice. You see, God is with us all in your prayer. as you brought up. But God hates liars. And I find that very truthful. When you construed and interpret my words as a threat, as you misuse my interpretation of being mean, disorderly, and disruptive, 42 U.S.C. 1983, fuck you politely with a big kiss, wetback. Because I'm a wetback, if you want to look at it that way. We're all wetbacks. We all came from some foreign bullshit land, except I was born in the United States as an American citizen. And my family came from Phoenix, Arizona, and whatever fucking tribe that you killed us with your diseases and germs, like your coronavirus. And you have no effort to stop because you keep homeless people living in our community on the streets, affecting all of us. Just like that bitch Janice Hahn, for the record, and that other scumbag attorney, Mary Wicked C. Wickham, from the County Board of Supervisors, that fat slob. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here in opposition to your time constraint because most people are not public speakers. Apparently, I might be one, but as Mr. Ashton pointed out, I started off very nice and I ended up being very mean. It's not mean, my brother Ashton, LAUSD. It's what your fucking people from LAUSD did to me some time ago that turned me into you, and you, and you, and you, and them. So stop taking our rights away. Stop suppressing us. Stop monitoring our speech. Stop condensing the time so that you can have your say-so and get away with stealing. You're nothing more but a bunch of fucking thieves. From bonds to grants, you steal. Fuck all you on Prop 13.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Are there any other speakers?
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Hector Schmidt, 12246 Old River School Road. I frequently volunteer my efforts to clean my neighborhood on Friday when street cleaning comes on the Rancho Los Amigos golf course. I like to get my broom and sweep the entire sidewalk on Fridays. I frequently sweep the street on Quill. My daughter's in the 8th grade at Mary Stauffer School. I like to go on the campus, the outer portion of the campus, clean there. Now I've begun my efforts to go to Apollo Park to clean also there. Unfortunately, this Wednesday, I was out in the street. A resident or individual objected to my cleaning, approached me, demanded immediately, me mandó, no limpia de mi carro, basurita. He ordered me to leave at that very moment. My response to him was polite and tried to de-escalate, told this individual, please, I'm trying to be a good neighbor. I'm on the street. He insisted, leave right now. I repeated, I'm trying to be a good neighbor. And then I became a little bit upset by my frustration not being able to de-escalate him. So I told him, sir, what are you gonna do if I choose not to? Unfortunately, the result of that was the summon of the police department, the Downey Police Department. I finished my cleaning real quick, left, proceeded to my house, get my other room, went to the other side of the street, started cleaning. The Downey Police Department came by, recommended, do not clean up by his house. I'm reluctant to do so, but given that, I agree. I'll clean by his house, in front of his house, on the sidewalk. I'm not gonna do that. Even though I feel it's in my right, I'm just not gonna do it. So that's my ongoing, that's a situation that I have, that's not regular. I have a next door neighbor, unfortunately, on Christmas Day on 2018. I've been feuding with this neighbor regarding the cleaning up the sidewalk and the street. He comes out very often. He's spit in my face on Christmas Day. That was my Christmas gift, Herman. Christmas gift, he spit in my face. He's pushed me a couple years ago before that, and it was near the street, and regularly comes out with his cell phone, and I basically remind him often, don't get near me. You've already spit on me. You already pushed me. No need to get near me. I continue to proceed to clean the sidewalk and the street by his house. I've insisted that it's in my right. The Public Works street, a couple months came by, cut the trees. Did a nice, very job. They trimmed the trees. We have 3 trees, two to the left and 1 in front of my house. And unfortunately, there was a number of tree material that was out there. So I went out there like I customary doing, be a good neighbor, and cleaned it up and stuff. So my efforts are to be a good neighbor. And if this neighbor approaches me with his cell phone, I'll have my camera in hand and remind him that, please don't get near me. I'm trying to be a good neighbor. God bless you guys.
Move to close public comment. Oh, nope.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Levis, and staff. My name is John Lacey. I have 2 items on my agenda this evening, Madam Mayor. Number 1 is an acknowledgement. There is a university to the south of us. Their basketball team is undefeated as I speak. They are 24-0. And I want to acknowledge the Aztecs of San Diego State. The second item, Madam Mayor, is a suggestion. I would suggest that we surprise everyone by going out and telling them we love them. That ends my comments. I yield the balance of my time back to you.
Thank you. Is there a second? Public comment period is now closed. Next item is the consent calendar. Are there any comments from the public on consent calendar items? If so, you may approach.
Move to close public comment.
That's a different way of going into consent, but sure, there's always a matter of subject on consent calendar, especially the results of 3C regarding January 28th, page 5, in regards to regular meeting minutes being reduced, monitored, suppressed, censored. I did not forget that day. It's a very special day because, again, the Downey paper put it on record for all of us to understand that our small little Beverly Hills of Downey is becoming a corrupted, unnegotiable, unfair machine. Isn't that what government's about? It's a machine. Gobbles away at your pocketbook, gobbles away at your wallet, taking away your right to be heard so that you can be in opposition or in favor or not in support of higher taxes that are coming your way. Not because of Donald Trump, but because, again, his impeachment was a lie and the things you talk about are lies. Then we look at item 5 regarding what Mr. Levis earlier talked about regarding the landscape and those improvements that people were pissed off because you ran out of money under Measure M or Measure S because you were stealing and you couldn't finish the landscape. Isn't that great? You get to drive by these mediums in the road and there's no landscape because now they need more money. That's truly fucked up. Now there's 12 items. Yes, 12 items on consent, and there's no fucking way I can speak on all 12 items with less than 5 minutes. But I'll try my best because that's what the ability that God, your God, gave me on the consent calendar. So starting with warrants issued on item 4, fuck all the warrants. Police do a great job. Don't get in trouble. Regarding item 6, contract of all city engineers. As far as water mains improvements, fuck your water mains. You better figure a way to stop the virus from killing us, because it might get contamination into our water system. Item number 7, even better. Thomas Air Conditioning, authorized $39,912 annually. No, that should be double figures, because we want our HVAC, in layman terms, air conditioning, to run all the time without any repair services, so that the city manager doesn't steal our fucking money. Item 8, approve an agreement. I don't agree with it. Fuck the authorized mayor to execute the agreement. What about item 9, updating the fines under the schedule of parking violations? Well, fuck parking violations. I believe they're unconstitutional. They're very unconstitutional. Some of us have disabilities. We have to park far away and walk closer to where we need to do our business. It's unconstitutional. You violate the California Constitution when you bring up this parking violations bullshit and continue every year to increase it. I recall when a ticket used to cost $16. Now the motherfucker is $50 and up. What about item 10, a resolution, destruction of certain obsolete records? Well, I wanted, for the record, to see those records. And I demand a date and time, Mr. Livas, when you're going to put those files before me so I can fumble my dumb ass through them and read every fucking file before you obsolete them. Item 10 for the record. Then on item 11, resolution, again, classification, specification, establishing compensation for position of library administrators. Pay the motherfuckers. They deserve it. They put up with my bullshit, they put up with your children's bullshit, and they put up with the public's bullshit. Fuck you, 42 U.S.C. 1983, on their behalf. Then on item 12, since I'm down to my last fucking 30 seconds out of 5 minutes, and I had to rush through this because I'm not a paid speaker, I'm not a lobbyist, and I think Sacramento sucks cock. Adopt ordinance on the City Council of the City of Downey approving a zone text amendment. Well, the only thing I think about your amendment is what's on my shirt. Fuck you, for the record. Again, residentially zoned properties, and my time has exhausted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Herman.
You're welcome.
Any other speakers?
Second.
Second. Mr. Herman has just made a public records request on item number 10, so we are going to have to pull that item. Madam City Attorney,
Yes.
can you please explain further?
Is that correct? You want you making a public records request verbally for item number 10?
That's what I said.
Okay. Okay, just wanted to clarify. So yes, my recommendation is that we pull item 10. They'll be reviewed by my office for disclosability under the Public Records Act, and we'll communicate with Mr. Herman when the disclosable records are available.
Thank you.
Are there any council members that would like to remove or abstain from an item?
For remaining items.
Is there a second? Second. Please vote.
The consent calendar was approved with Councilmember Saab abstaining from item number 5 and item number 10 being pulled and Councilmember Rodriguez excused.
Thank you. Our next two items are administrative reports. First, we have receive and file report on Downey Youth Commission update. City Manager Livas, who is providing the report for item number 13?
Madam Mayor, we are going to have the chairperson, Paula Cepeda, come up and give us a presentation. And Paula, thank you for staying late and braving all of this and to give us a presentation. Certainly you're doing a great job and all the other students are doing a great job. So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pacheco and members of the City Council. My name is Paula Zepeda, and I'm the chairperson for the Downey Youth Commission. Today we are providing an update, and we have a video to share to do this. Thank you.
The Downey Youth Commission was formed in 2011 with the goals of leadership development, civic and local government education, providing input to the City Council regarding youth issues, and completion of annual assignments and priorities from the City Council. This year's commission began its fiscal year 1920 term in October, and the commission wanted to provide an update has done so far. Under the umbrella of leadership development and civic education, commissioners attend City Council meetings to become better informed of city happenings. Additionally, commissioners volunteer at a variety of city events to be more involved in the community. Youth commissioners have already volunteered over 70 hours in its first 3 months of the term to the pumpkin patch, holiday home decorating contest, and tree lighting ceremony events. However, to further the purpose of the Youth Commission, this term, the Commission wanted to focus on key youth issues, specifically civic engagement, youth involvement, inclusivity, mental health and wellness, and sustainability. Under civic engagement, the Commission began receiving presentations from each city department at its meeting to increase its understanding of specific city operations. Additionally, it launched a pre-register-to-vote project at both Downey and Warren high schools. The Commission was trained by the LA County Registrar Recorder's Office, created posters and flyers, and worked with the high schools to promote the project through social media and school announcements. The project yielded huge results as 288 students, who were at least 16 years old, pre-registered to vote. In March, the Commission plans to go back to both schools and conduct a mock census 2020 campaign. Through this program, it will be educating students on the importance of the census. To do this, the Commission will be holding mock census tables where students will be encouraged to complete a quick mock census form that is geared towards them as students. Then the Commission will tally up all the forms and demonstrate which subgroup submitted the most forms, for example, freshmen, sophomores, etc., and provide those students a small giveaway. This exercise will help demonstrate the importance of the real census, as the number of submitted census forms will affect funding and representation for communities. In addition to the survey, the Commission will ask students who complete the mock census to take a pledge that they will help educate their families and ensure that their Census 2020 form is submitted. As part of their pledge, students will be given an I Count button to promote the census. Lastly, the Youth Commission will prepare a video to be placed on the city's social media pages to further the census promotion. Also, under civic engagement, the Commission will hold its annual Student Government Day. This year's program will be modified to further engage students in the civic engagement process. More details will be provided to the City Council in the upcoming months. Under the area of youth involvement, this year the Commission will be helping with the Mayor's Instagram photo contest. The Commission has already provided a list of contest themes for the upcoming seasons and will assist Mayor Pacheco in promoting and selecting the winners. To further promote youth involvement, the Commission launched its own Instagram account. This account will help the Commission share its story to Downey Youth, specifically about what it does, how it makes an impact, and also help with marketing when Commission seats are available in June. The Commission plans on marketing this page after tonight's meeting on the city's social media pages and by encouraging Commissioner peers to follow. Under the umbrella of inclusivity, the Commission will be helping the Mayor and the Parks and Recreation Department regarding its new Circle of Friends adaptive program. In regards to mental health and wellness, the Commission will be exploring ways to host an event in May during Mental Health Month to promote mental health and remove the stigma related to it. The Commission will be creating a subcommittee later this month to further refine and work with city staff to develop this idea. Lastly, under the umbrella of sustainability, the Commission participated in the Downey One Day of Service event in November. The Commission helped plant trees to increase the city's urban forest. It was a fun and fulfilling activity. The Commission looks forward to continuing these activities in the future. The Downey Youth Commission is excited for all the new projects it has planned this year. and would like to thank the City Council for its continual guidance and support as it moves forward with them. We will provide a final term update in late June to highlight what we have accomplished.
Great job, Paula.
How about applause?
Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you once again. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from my council colleagues?
No questions, just a comment. You did a phenomenal job, and we're just really excited to see the Youth Commission getting involved in the various programs. If I have to embarrass my son who's sitting here, Daniel from Meta, he was part of the Youth Commission some years ago, and this is a really exceptional program that gets involved in our community. And so, Madam Mayor, thank you for your leadership in this, in getting this commission moving in various programs and more involved in this city. I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and we look forward to continuing to support you. So thank you for your presentation tonight.
Thank you.
So I just want to add and say, great job. Thank you for your involvement with the youth commissioners. I see that you've done numerous hours and you have numerous activities set up. So just want to commend you and our youth commissioners for your involvement. And I look forward to many more presentations, especially our census, our mock census that you will be doing. So thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
First of all, I wanted to thank you for your presentation coming up here. But more importantly, I think what the Youth Commission is doing is something that the council wanted us to do, is to have them engage in more substantive discussions and to entertain more meaty topics. And so, for example, mental health, pre-registration of folks, the census, those are all things that are sort of new and really will provide a lot of experience and exposure for our youth. So that's something that I thank the council for also providing that direction. I want to specifically thank Vanya, who has really been working with the Youth Commission, has done a yeoman's job on that. So thank you very much, Vanya, for that. And I thank the Youth Commission for really sort of tackling some stuff, and the exposure that you're giving to your fellow students is immeasurable. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to kind of echo what the city manager said, we appreciate everything you've done, you and the commission from back when my daughter was on it back in the day, to see to this point now, to see how you guys have not only gone to the bar, but pushed the bar up and pushed the bar up and pushed the bar up to where we're at now. It just goes to show what a good job, a tremendous job that you've done, you and the commission have done to further this youth group. So thank you for so much for everything you and the commission have done. And Vanya, thank you for your work with this as well. So
I have a question. Is there anything that you or your fellow youth commissioners would like to see added to your program, or something that you guys would like to do in addition to what you're doing now?
Well, honestly speaking, we have so many ideas that are floating around, but we have a meeting coming up next week, so I will bring that up, and at their next city council meeting, maybe we can discuss it like fully. But thank you very much for bringing that up. I will tell them.
Sure, we like to hear how we can improve it, because obviously it's your program. It's for you guys, so we don't want to, at least myself, I don't want it to be just where you're volunteering at, at an event or something like that. We want it to be more meaningful, and just want to see what ideas you may have to make it more meaningful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I will now open this item up for public comment. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak regarding this matter? Please keep in mind it is regarding this matter and this matter only. Mr. Herman?
So, Madam Mayor, are you referring to item 13 of the administrative reports?
Yes, sir.
And is that per item, or is that all three items, 13, 14, and 15? Or are we going to do them
13.
individually?
You may proceed.
Are we going to do them individually? Is that a yes or a no?
She said 13.
She said 13.
Thank you. So, you heard leadership, civic engagement in our government, provide input on issues. But where are the youth today? Why can't they be here today pointing out the issues? I'm not a part of some club, mommy and daddy and my children. That's what I heard right now. It's a club, my children. What about the public? Why not invite the children on the south side of Downey to participate? Why is it always on the north side? I'll tell you why. Because I believe where money talks, bullshit walks. That's why. But, again, before I am attacked, interrupted, because of the completion and priorities from the city council doesn't include a financial report of what these young adults are receiving so that they can have activities outside of their bullshit to give you advice so you could do a fucking great job and assess the real issues that you don't know how to think because the youth are smarter than you. But they're just too afraid and too stupid on computers to come here and speak up against the machine. So on item D for Dick, under mental health and wellness, what wellness? What wellness are we receiving for the people who are homeless on our streets? That wellness? That's mental health. That's abuse to individuals who have no rights, no say-so, and our youth don't help them. The same way they don't help their grandma or mommy because she's too old, she nags, and she gets in my business because I'm a teenager. I want to do the fuck I want. And that's the problem with our youth. You do the fuck you want instead of getting ahead in the game and educating yourselves and coming here and protecting people like myself, an invisible man with a goal in life. But for the record, Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-TALK at 8255, suicidepreventiononline.org. So already I saved one life simply by reading this bullshit. But where are the youth in this program? Nice presentation, young lady. Don't get me wrong. You guys are doing a fairly good job, but I'm a critic. The same way the Downey Patriot criticizes me, I criticize the youth. Because you're part of the agenda, you're on this program. Take the shit as it is. It's not bullshit. This is the arena, this is the gladiator world, and I am a fierce, ferocious motherfucker in this world of politics now. Because this is what they turned me to be and become, a man and not a pussy. So, on item E regarding tree planting, in my last 55 seconds, I'm glad that you can go out and recognize the maintenance issues on trees. But we have a tree ordinance. And that ordinance requires the city manager and those outside contractors to do a nice job.
Youth Commission?
Herman.
What does it have to do with Youth Commission?
Because the youth who don't know about tree planting and don't know about tree ordinance should reflect on our city ordinance when it comes to talking about tree planting. Because there's a lot involved. We, the taxpayers, pay for this fucking nonsense. And some time ago in the city of LA, as a reflection of this, that wetback mayor, Antonio, said, we have a plan to plant 1 million fucking trees, and you fucking failed, Eric Garcetti. Both of you. Ah.
Move to close public comment.
Second.
Move to receive and file item.
Please vote. You're too fast, Alex.
The motion to receive and file was approved with Councilmember Rodriguez excused.
Thank you. Next item, salary range adjustment for fire chief. Adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Downey establishing compensation for the position of fire chief. City Manager Rivas, do we have someone providing this report?
Madam Mayor, James McQueen, our HR Director, will provide the report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you this evening is a proposed salary range adjustment for the position of Fire Chief. In accordance with Senate Bill 1436, local agencies are required to report out a summary of recommended changes for salary and benefit adjustments for executive positions prior to voting. On January 14th, 2020, Council adopted a successor MOU for the Downey Fire Management Association, which provided 3 COLA cost of living adjustments during the term of the agreement as follows: a 2% effective January 1st of 2020, another 2% effective January 1st, 2021, and a 2% effective January 1st of 2022. Per City Council Resolution 5290, the Management Performance Plan, it provides that cost of living increases for management employees to be no less than granted to the rank and file employees in their department. The current monthly salary for the fire chief position is $16,062.11 to $19,595.78 per month. The proposed salary range adjustment for the fire chief position is to correspond with the Downey Fire Management Association cost of living increases based on the following schedule. January 1 of 2020, $16,383.35 to $19,987.70. January 1st, 2021, $16,711.02 to $20,387.45. January 1st, 2022, $17,045.24 to $20,795.20. The additional cost for the proposed salary range adjustment is approximately $4,210 in the current fiscal year. Sufficient funding is included in the current departmental budget. Also, for the record, with this item, we do have a amended resolution that is included in the packet with you. This amended version of it includes reference to the management performance compensation plan that was not included in the previous draft. It also includes the salary schedule of the COLA adjustments for the Downey Fire Management Association that were not included in the previous draft of the resolution. So with this concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions or comments? No? Thank you. I will now open this item up for public comment. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak regarding this matter?
Anybody else? Apparently not. See, the greatest man in the world is our fire chief. All fire battalion chiefs, because they do their fucking homework. And they save lives. They give you considerable information how to target shoot these problems, and sometimes it's overlooked. And we're only going to offer at a range from $16,000 per year at 2%. That's appalling. When Mr. Livas is asking for 5%, a $10,000 increase in his close to rounded off $300,000 annual salary now. Who the fuck makes that kind of money when we have traffic and medians that are not fixed in our area? Or we tear down 4 fucking bullshit parks and close them for a whole year, along with the library, the only fucking library that I have to go to Cerritos, Pasadena, Imperial over here, Norwalk to work. Shame on you. But going back to that cost of living, I'd like to question the fire chief. Do you think that's fair, that 2%?
Mr. Herman, over here.
So yes, Ms. Mayor, do you think that's fair, that 2%? I don't think that's fair. Not only is there a cost of living, but what about the hazards of the job of living? Knowing you worked all your life, careered as a fire battalion chief, to find out you're going to die from cancer caused by fires, caused by contamination, caused by every fucking source of issue they touch in our community, along with saving our lives. I wouldn't put my mouth on any person sick or coughing with that virus right now, because I would not want to suspend my career giving life while someone else is offering me death sentence because we let illegal immigrants in here without the proper immunization. God bless Trump. Build that fucking wall and tell Pelosi, shut the fuck up, because we have an excellent fire chief who's underpaid, under the scale of cost of living, under 52.90 section. Well, I'm here to amend it. I'm here to see that maybe this figure 16 doubles and amplifies the real truth behind why the fire battalion chief deserves more money, a cost of living, a nice new car, and if it's not a Maserati, then make it another Ferrari. Because that's his dream, that's my dream. It's just money. It's our tax-paying dollars, not yours. You're only there to allocate it and the appropriations where it belongs, to people who deserve it, people who are honored, like our veterans. But in this case, this is our fire chief, a gentleman who I've met in the last 5 years of coming here ranting the truths behind local politics and bad government that are corrupted in the manner of stealing and taking away from the mouths that protect us and feed their children and educate their children so they be the next generation that carry the same attribution to what I get out of it. Protection, safety. So why don't you interrupt me now? I'm just lollygagging about my fire chief, our fire chief, the public's fire chief. So amend this ridiculous 2% to reflect a 5%, the same one you're giving to the city manager under compensation and benefits, SB 1436. Fuck you, Sacramento. We got real people that work in this city, and we don't want to see your dumbasses like Bob Archuleta doing nothing to protect our fire department, protect our police chief, and any person who's a public servant who reflects an excellent job on the job, and those who do not, fire the motherfuckers.
Thank you.
Move to close.
Second? Is there a second? Thank you. Is there a motion and a second to adopt the resolution as amended? Please vote.
The motion was approved with Councilmember Rodriguez excused.
Thank you. Next item is approve the compensation adjustment for the city manager in accordance with amendment number 2 to the employment agreement. City Manager Livas, who is providing this report?
Mr. McQueen will step up and do it once more.
Thank you. This item is a proposed salary range adjustment for the city manager position. In accordance with Senate Bill 1436, local agencies are required to report out a summary of recommendations for salary and benefit changes for executive positions prior to voting. On February 23rd, 2016, the City Council approved Amendment Number 2 to the City Manager's Employment Agreement. This amendment established January 15th as the date for Council to evaluate and take action to maintain at least a minimum of 5% total compensation differential between the City Manager and the next highest paid employee. In accordance with this agreement, a 5% compensation increase is proposed to establish and maintain a minimum of a 5% differential between the city manager and the next highest paid employee, the police chief. The city manager's current annual salary is $268,238.67. The proposed annual salary is $281,650.61. The cost for the salary range adjustment is approximately $9,465 in the current fiscal year. Sufficient funding is included in the current budget. And this concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, is there anyone here wishing to speak on this item?
Wow, out of a population of 113,000, one individual speaks pretty much on every item all the time. Wasting his time, wasting your time, because you have other important things to do. But let's talk about what Mr. McQueen said regarding the adjustment of compensations and benefits. It's only a $9,465 increase. And mind you, yes, you get paper cuts, I understand. I understand it's a tough job to negotiate behind closed doors, the business of the people. But the people want to know facts. People want truths, not a diplomacy behind closed doors, but with transparency. Had we known about such transparency, then we, the legislative body, under 54950/54963 ETSEQ, for the record, would reflect that this legislative body decides what is fair compensation. Earlier, on an old item of business regarding the fire chief, that's a dangerous job. Far exceeds the 2%. Even the chief of police has a dangerous job because he has to carry not just a weapon, but a taser and a club to beat the fuck out of bad people. But see, as an experienced police officer, I know Chief Milligan would not allow that. Because, like the fire chief, they have great respect for their community and integrity, ethically, morally. And I too have that same idea. But for me, it's an idea. You have to show me, Mr. Manager, whether or not this increase differential under SB 1436 of $281,000, 650.61 and change is an appropriate figure because Mr. Ashens worked for the school district LAUSD and he does not make 6 motherfucking figures. But yet, he puts the future of our children, our well-being ahead of everything in sacrifice for the minimum wage that the assholes from the Los Angeles Unified School District provide him to support and educate his children in college. That is a fact. I can make that rationale statement because I believe in a good person. Only until you attack my First Amendment, Mr. Manager, and suppress me and monitor me with the issue of time restrictions, I find that offensive when I'm going to give you a $9,465 differential increase because you believe 5% is your ration. Well, I'm the nigger that's going to ration the MOU under the NWA, acronym for nigger with attitude that I am. And I will recommend in my opposition that we suppress and hold this benefit until we come to an agreement that there's equal benefit, not just with the fire chief, the police chief, or the city manager, but with staff who do an excellent job and should have an increase at whatever percentage that we decide that's appropriate. When you have good standing, you should be awarded. Not like the scumbags from Los Angeles who put me in my position Not like my employer, LUSD, who fucked with my mind at one time, and now I get to fuck with your mind because I'm not a wetback. I'm an American citizen, and I believe in constitutional rights. First Amendment, 14th Amendment, 4th Amendment, 5th Amendment, and unfortunately, I don't have the right at this day to support myself with the
Thank
Second
you, Mr.
Amendment.
Herman. Is there a motion and a second to close public comment?
We made a motion.
Okay, is there a motion and a second to approve the compensation adjustment for the city manager?
I have a question. So I'm looking at this, and maybe it's my math. I don't know. And maybe Ms. McQueen, you can help me out with this. So his current salary is $268,238.67, and what we're proposing it to go to is $281,650.61. Is that correct? That's $13,000. So how do we have a fiscal impact of $9,465?
That's the amount for the remainder of the fiscal year based off of the effective date of the salary increase.
Okay.
Pay period of January 15th.
Okay, because I mean, just for me, I didn't quite get all of that, but I think when we do these in the future, I think it's good to kind of explain that, so that way it doesn't look like our math is off. Because that was my first thought, like how did we miss $4,000? So, maybe, for future times when we do this, we incorporate that just to make sure that we're being as transparent as possible for our residents.
Understood.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please vote.
The motion was approved with Councilmember Rodriguez excused.
Thank you. City Manager Rivas, do you have any comments?
Just a couple comments. First of all, I wanted to thank the staff. As we really get moving on Measure S, we're starting to open up some parks and some stations. Fire Station 1, the firefighters moved into that station. It's a beautiful station. We are going to have an open house, a ribbon cutting for that as soon as they settle in. It's really a nice station, and it's something that I think everybody should be proud of. It's been a lot of work. The fire department, John, who's been spearheading a lot of the facilities improvements, all the staff, the support staff, making sure that we, it's a big logistical move to move to a different station and then move everybody back. But the support staff that really did a lot of the work, I want to thank them as well for everything that they've done. Also, we opened Dennis Menace Park this weekend. I went by there yesterday just to check it out, and it was just full of families. As a reminder, people have talked about all the parks being closed at the same time. That was really the result of the funding source that we got, and we had to get it all done in 3 years. There's no way that we could have done it without closing the parks down at the appropriate times and the library. I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but the results are starting to come through. We've opened Apollo Park, Independence. Shortly, not too far in the distance, we're going to do Golden Park as well. It's all moving forward, not slowly, really rapidly. So we're really making a lot of headway in those particular areas. So the staff has really been working hard. And I want to remind everybody, we did this without adding a single additional person to the payroll. It's a $66 million facilities improvement for the city that will really last for the next 50 years. And our fire stations haven't been touched really since they've been built. So that's something that we're doing. We also did some work in the police department, new lockers, and they're still continuing to do improvements there. So yes, there's a lot of things going on. Again, the staggering, we wish we could have staggered them and did them one by one, the parks, but unfortunately because of the funding sources, that's how it played out. I also want to thank the staff and the city council for the annual goal setting that we do every year. That particular goal setting process becomes the blueprint for our budget as we move forward. And every year we monitor those As we say, what gets measured gets done. So every quarter, we measure those results and see how we're doing, and we conclude with a final report to the community every year and where we're at. And I'm pleased to say that we always complete roughly 90% of those activities that the council has set for us to move forward on. And that's not to mention all the things that go on during the year besides the things that are in the goal-setting plan. So those are things that I wanted to sort of thank. There was 2 items tonight that took a lot of work, and those are the code work that was done by Richard Hicks and JIB. I want to thank the fire department and Mark Gillespie and his staff and Aldo Schindler and his staff. And also wanted to thank Mr. Lacey to shout out for the Aztecs because Mr. Schindler was smiling the whole time. That's his school. So yes. So you made him a happy man tonight. So anyway, I conclude, that concludes my comments, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say, acknowledge and thank our youth commissioner, for being here today. Again, thank you for being here for the whole council meeting. I apologize for the profanity that was used. Unfortunately, due to freedom of speech, we have to allow him to speak in that manner. But I do apologize that you had to hear that kind of language. And to everyone else here, thank you again for being here. Thank you for staying throughout the evening. And I hope everyone has a good evening, but I'd like to now adjourn the meeting in memory of Lieutenant Colonel Paul K. Voss, 46 of Yigo, Guam, who was supporting Operation Freedom's Sentinel, and Specialist Antonio I. Moore, 22, from Wilmington, North Carolina, who was supporting Operation Inherent Resolve. Meeting adjourned.